The National Security Council approves immediate deployment of security forces to stop the dispute between Pari and Lotuko communities of Torrid State. Japan grants $2.5 million to renovate Upper Nile University. And Governor Agustino Jadalawani calls on women to promote the vision and mission of the SPLM. Hello, good afternoon and welcome to SSBC. We live from the capital city of South Sudan, Juba. I'm Elizabeth Akolda Malath, your news anchor. In our stories, the National Security Council has approved immediate deployment of security forces to stop the simmering conflict between Pari and Lotuko communities of Torrid State. The National Security Council, chaired by President Kiir, met at the State House on Thursday to discuss the security situation in the country. Speaking to reporters, the Minister of Interior, Michael Shenjek, said the council had resolved to form a committee of inquiry to ascertain the root cause of the conflict. The governor of Torrid State, Obiolo Alberi Oromo, appreciated the council for taking a proactive decision to address the conflict and to reconcile the two communities. The government says the conflict between the Pari and Lotuko communities stemmed from competition over grazing land and fishing sites along the Kinaite River.
It is now a time that we are asking these two communities to cooperate with the forces that are going in, and also they have to desist from the conflicts and give a way to the reconciliation, at the same time to the investigating committee. This is the instruction of His Excellency the President to the governor and to the communities, as well as to the members of the National Legislative Assembly of those two communities. Apart from this, also we have listened to the reports from the various departments of the security, and we have noted that the situation in our country is stable. Only there was an incident in Kwarjana between Tony and Wow, which is also being resolved by the two governors.
The issue of greater Oranyo community, the Odugo and Pari, is the most dangerous issue in Torrid State. With this, I, as the governor of the state, I could not keep quiet on the high tension that is taking a bad shape. I have to rush to the national government asking their help and support. And I am very happy that His Excellency the President have instructed all the ministries concerned and the state government headed by me myself, that we must go and arrest the situation and make sure that the people are reconciled.
The government says no stone would be left unturned as it races with time to implement the revitalized peace agreement. This comes in a meeting between President Kiir and the visiting American Assistant Secretary of State for East Africa and South and Sudan, Mikila James, in Juba on Thursday. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Nial Deng Nial, says the government is doing everything possible to put on track the implementation process of the peace agreement. The visiting U.S. diplomat, Mikila James, said they discussed the implementation of the peace agreement.
Secretary of State for African Affairs with a special responsibility for East Africa and Sudan and South Sudan. The meeting was very constructive. We discussed a number of issues, primarily the peace process in the Republic of South Sudan, and the President gave her our perspective, especially in relation to when the transitional period starts. As you all know, as per the agreement, it's supposed to be set up by May the 12th. So the President gave the government's perspective on that, basically stressing the fact that the agreement is not perfect, no agreement is perfect, and that there have been other agreements in the past that had to start with being implemented without having to wait for everything to be settled. So at the end, we both agreed that we must keep the peace process on track. We must sustain the momentum. We also expressed satisfaction with the fact that the bilateral relations between the Republic of South Sudan and the United States of America is moving in the right trajectory, and will continue to consolidate this progress. We also discussed a little bit about the situation in neighboring Republic of Sudan, and there was a meeting of minds on the need to resolve that situation as quickly as possible, such that the people of the Republic of Sudan can find peace, normalcy, and move on with their lives.
I have just come from a very constructive conversation with President Salva Kiir to talk about our relationships between our two governments. We had a very positive conversation. We talked about South Sudan's peace process and the need to deliver peace to the people as soon as possible and to move on with implementing the peace agreement. And we feel the future is very promising for South Sudan, and we had a very constructive conversation about how to keep things on track and move forward.
We were also able to talk about other countries in the region and South Sudan's role in the region. Deputy Assistant Secretary James stopped in Khartoum on the way here, and so there's a lot of interest in that topic as well. But mostly we talked about our bilateral relations and the peace process.
The U.S. government has urged South Sudan's peace partners to implement the peace agreement as the clock ticks towards deadline to the formation of the new unity government on May the 12th. U.S. Ambassador Thomas Ushek paid a courtesy call on the first Vice President, Taban Dengai, in Juba on Wednesday to exchange views on the implementation of the peace agreement. The Executive Director in the office of the first Vice President, Adil Senderi, said the meeting also touched on strengthening relations between Juba and Washington.
From the U.S. Embassy with a visitor from Washington, Deputy Assistant Secretary Makila James, who lived and worked here in Juba in 2006 to 2007, is back for a visit. She's our highest-ranking official who covers East Africa and the Sudans. So we're here talking about developments in the region, our bilateral relationship, and of course developments in the peace process with First Vice President Taban Deng. Thank you.
To discuss bilateral issues regarding the relationship between the South Sudan and the United States of America. They have discussed the issues regarding the implementation of the peace agreement and the other bilateral issues.
Moving on, Japan has announced a $2.5 million grant to renovate Upper Nile University infrastructure, which lies in ruins after years of fighting in Malakal. Speaking to reporters in Juba on Thursday, the Minister of Higher Education, Yen Oral Lam, announced that the renovation work would be conducted by the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, as government. Japan and UNDP are partnering to revitalize learning in Upper Nile University. The Japanese ambassador Seiji Okada said the grant is from Japan to strengthen its cooperation agreement with South Sudan. The Vice-Chancellor of Upper Nile University, Professor Mariala Wo, said the university welcomes government support in critical times as now.
This morning to have received Excellency Ambassador of Japan, my friend Seiji Okada, and also the country director of UNDP, Mr. KK, all of us plus the University of Upper Nile. We have been engaging in this project for the last 6 months. It was a commitment that we have taken and took upon ourselves. And most importantly, this meeting will prove my statement of last week. While launching the admission of the public universities, I stated that His Excellency, the Ambassador of Japan, will come next week with the good news. And the good news is that the $2.5 million now has to be transferred to the account of UNDP to kick off the project.
Long time to how we revitalize the Upper Nile University Malakal. We thought it's a very important project to rehabilitate, reactivate the university in Malakal. So then I'm glad to tell you today that finally this project is project idea is finalized. And government of Japan is quite happy to support and finance this project. And on Monday, coming Monday, all of us travel to Malacca for the signing ceremony of exchange of note between the government of Japan, myself, and UNDP, KK. We signed the exchange of note. And
this is a three-way partnership between the government and people of South Sudan, the government and people of Japan, and the United Nations Development Program, the UNDP. And on the South Sudan side, I include the University of Upper Nile. There's an ideal partnership in terms of bringing different skill sets together, providing resources from the people and government of Japan to the people and government of South Sudan, in this case through the work we are planning to do in the University of Upper Nile.
The meeting is about the renovation of Upper Nile University, and I'm speaking here on behalf of the Upper Nile University as the Vice Chancellor. We came here today to talk about launching the renovation work in Upper Nile, and to ask people who are in the University of Upper Nile, we are the headgear people today because we are talking about going back to Upper Nile. We'll be sleeping today and dreaming about going back to Upper Nile. We'll be talking to our students that we are going back.
Now, South Sudan delegation led by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation returned to Juba after an official visit to the United States, the United Arab Emirates and South Africa respectively. Upon arrival at Juba International Airport on Thursday, the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Onyoti Adigo Njukwach, said they discussed South Sudan's investment roadshow. Onyoti said he had met with entrepreneurs willing to invest in South Sudan in petroleum, mining and agriculture sectors, as well as infrastructural development. The Managing Director of NilePet and the Chairperson of Gas Commission were among the delegates.
We had meetings with a lot of people, investors, who said that they are willing to come and invest in South Sudan after the signing of the 12th May Peace Agreement, of Atlantic Peace Agreement. And we are very happy because in wherever we went, the investors were ready to come and invest in South Sudan. And I'm sure starting from next month, most of the investors will be coming to invest in petroleum, mining and agriculture, and the rest of sector, including the infrastructure. So it was a good visit. It was very fruitful because the attendance each of every town we went was very huge, and people were eager to come and invest in South Sudan. So we are informing the people of South Sudan in particular that it is time now, after the sign of peace agreement, to turn into development of the country.
And the government has called on the peace partners to canton their forces as stipulated in the peace agreement. Speaking Thursday after talks with UNMISS Chief of Political Affairs, Guy Bennett, the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Deng Dao Deng, said stakeholders should provide good reasons to extend the formation of the transitional government. The UN Chief of Political Affairs, Guy Bennett, and UNMISS said the peace agreement and stands with unanimous position to form the transitional government on the 12th of May 2019.
We don't want to prejudice the situation. I'm glad that the head of the special representative of the UN and the special envoy of South Sudan, Tony Gat, they have visited one of the cantonment area, and they have seen practically what is happening there. The government, together with the support, food has been taken to some of the cantonment. Medicine has been taken to the cantonment. And so if there are forces in the cantonment, that is fine. If there are no forces in the cantonment, then the question would be, where are the forces so that they are cantoned?
As I have said many times, and as the SRSG has brought out, we as UNMISS are in support of the peace agreement for the people of South Sudan. We will do so impartially, and we are looking for an agreement that is both inclusive, credible and transparent. And what we're urging is a unanimous position from the parties that will provide clarity and that is clearly communicated to the people of South Sudan, so that we can see this process is going forward in a meaningful way in terms of the agreement and for the people of South Sudan themselves.
This is SSBC News. Let's go for a break. Stay with us. Approves immediate deployment of security forces to stop the dispute between Pari and the Tuko communities of Torit State. Japan grants $2.5 million to renovate Upper Nile University. And Governor Agustino Jadalawani calls on women to promote the vision and mission of the SPLM. You're welcome back. Moving on, Governor Agustino Jadalawani opened a conference of Jubek State SPLM Women League in Juba on Thursday. In his opening remarks, Governor Jadala called on the women to promote the vision and mission of the ruling party. Speaking at the occasion, the chairperson of the National SPLM Women's League Steering Committee, Anne Lino Abiai, said women support the president in the implementation of the peace agreement. She said women would acquire knowledge about the party and the revitalized peace agreement. Jubek State SPLM interim chairperson Anne Kaku Samson called on women to denounce tribalism and be peacemakers in the society. The chairperson of the State SPLM Women League, Margaret Caesar Paul, said they would acquire skills on how to disseminate the peace agreement in rural areas. She appealed to women to unite and back up government's peace efforts.
عندنا كوادر، عندنا النساء متعلمات، عندنا النساء عندهم ماسترز، عندهم PhD، ما يهم، لكن بعيدين. ده عنده شغل. أنت لو مسافر أنت أمامك لو بدك تشرب أنت ما بشرب مويه في البيرة الناشفة. أنت بتشرب في البيرة اللي فوق طبعا، أو فوق مويه سكتش. لأنه لو أنت ماشي فينا أنت تحت المنطقة. SPLM is the ruling party. SPLM is well organized. It is a national party. Let me say. SPLM Busur Petrol, Galu Petrol, Babadi Petrol approved the Galam Bindina Tashik.
أنا بنقول النسوان ال 35% ده كان SPLM الأداء للنساء في الأول قبل ما ناس تمشي لاتفاقية السلام وقبل ما يخش الدستور. فنحن بنقول في الأيام الجاية الحكومة هيتكون.
The authorities in Yei River State opened a new cantonment site at Kenyi Payam along Yei Juba Road. In his opening remarks, Governor Emmanuel Adil Anthony repeated his call to those who are still in the bush to return home and join the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement. The SPLA-IO Cantonment Commanding Officer Moses Yanga called for cooperation between the government and the opposition. The South Sudan People's Defense Force Commander at Kenyi Payam, Brigadier Lazarus Agonyi War, also addressed the event.
So there in Kalam de Sur Besura, Asanina Mount Agrarat, reports quickly. Even before I go on a Borilla racing, we have gone there in Fisto Mashikeda Kaza. I also don't want to appear in Wana Burua and Naku to forget Madao or Mafaja. Durdan the Rominina Deli going about the Asuma Yalfina, Mutagarel Kamil one about the race. Even if we have here as a new bar, Asamagal Lisia, Nina Rafata Bar, they are Halab Tamalda. So Kitir Kalamunsu, very careful. We did a Galfaja to now the super legends Bitana, live with prayer. Zuru bitara tasakal almeya zat ma bijadum bilena haja sokya wajede de baraka bardo le malle to ana bikullaha lahja ana bigulu inu alla muntikada مقتول لأسمبلينج وتريننج بتاعبدا في بات الجاي شكرا.
ربنا يعود علينا. ده مال بتاع ربنا. السلام وبيجي بطريقة زي ده. أنا جيج بتاع سلام. لأنه أنا جنوبيين أنا ما دايرين نشاكل أفوانا. لكن لو زول جاء أنا بدافع. لو زول جاء في اللورو هنا وداري يعمل مشاكل وما داري يجي بسلام. ده ربنا يابو كل مسؤول بيه وده معناه. saya anak masuk udah saya biar buta salam. Lagat بعدين يوم 12 في شهر 5 لزول ما جاب في اللورو ولسه قاعد بيعمل اعمال بتاعه في برا. أنا ما نعملهم ما نعمل.
Gavana akijapata mahali ofisini. Wana mtakit dema akhir ina dari badin kan yallimu ini nabi gader official opening tanal kabir minde digo yal biga fini kalas ayana inshallah نهاية الأسبوع ده والأسبوع الجاي في ناس بيجايين يلا بدأ جاكل ini kalas ajalan der kede kun cooperation bena asakir taina balibija munga bana makwana pito manalihina mungkin kede kun ini cooperation abad kan akila na mutakin membakul sawa mana tu kan ial taina binum sakit apa na toronta na ille kan binum sakit lakin akil fi membakul sawa akil de.
The governor of Northern Upper Nile State, Awel Dawagain, described agriculture as the backbone of the country's economy. The governor spoke after the swearing-in ceremony of the new State Minister of Agriculture, Shaul Shulu Arop, on Wednesday. The minister said he would cooperate with the government and partners to promote agriculture.
شوفوا بصمات واسباب غياب سيد الوزير نحن ما بنصرح لكن هتشوفون قريب ان شاء الله. ليه وزير قاعد هنا؟ وليه نحن قاعدين نقول ان احنا الخروج بتاعنا ما بيجي هتشوفوا سبب خروجنا ما قاعد يجي. فتعرفوا برضه تميزوا ليه خروجنا جاء في الفترة الجاية ان شاء الله.
فالنيل خطوة أولى وحافظ عليه، وكما ذكرت سوف أحافظ على الدستور وما جاء في الدستور من ولاية شمال النيل. وزارة الزراعة سوف نعد خطة طموحة للموسم الزراعي إن شاء الله، وهذا سوف نتناوله إن شاء الله في مجلس الوزراء.
Now, the ceasefire monitoring body SITSAM has called on the peace signatories to stay within the remits of the agreement to ensure full implementation of the accord. In his opening remark in Juba on Thursday, the chairperson of SITSAM, Major General Desta Abishe Ageno, said there's need for full and comprehensive compliance of the agreement by all parties and obligation to protect civilians and hold perpetrators of violations to account. SITSAM says ceasefire continues to hold and security has further improved. However, the monitoring body adds there were 2 reported clashes between South Sudan People's Defense Forces and NAS forces loyal to Thomas Rilo this month. Ceasefire and Transitional Security Arrangement, Monitoring and Verification Mechanism, CITSAM, technical committee comprising senior generals from the parties to the agreement meets every month to discuss the implementation of the ceasefire agreement signed in December 2017.
My hope is that we can continue with the spirit of Easter, that is renewal and peace, and hold a productive 10th meeting of the committee. Generally speaking, the ceasefire continues to hold and the security situation is further improved. However, there are 2 reported clashes in the Yeye area between the SSPDF and allegedly the NAS forces of Thomas Rilo that occurred over the past few days. This past Sunday, on 21 April, MVTA received information that one SSPDF soldiers were killed and 2 wounded while they were traveling on the Yeye-Mavi road from Goli to Pasca. At this point, the casualties from NAS force are not known. This past Monday, on 22nd April, NVTA received information that NAS reportedly laid an ambush at Kijiko, 3 kilometers from the main barracks of the SSPDF, resulting in the death of 1 SSPDF soldiers and the wounding of 6 SSPDF soldiers. 2 of the soldiers are now admitted at Yei Hospital, and the other 4 were taken to Juba for treatment. At this point, the casualty from the NAS force are not yet known. Again, as we have stressed in earlier meetings, there are different forces existing in the Yei area that show the potential for conflict and insecurity, which may lead to violence against civilians.
Defense lawyers representing Major General Stephen Bwai Rolnyang demand that the military court bring in witnesses to testify on the case of Major General Stephen Bwai. South Sudan People's Defense Force spokesperson Major General Lul Rwaikwang said Stephen Bwai is accused of disobeying the orders from the military general headquarters in Juba. Philip Anyang, who is also the defense lawyer of the accused, called on the court to produce witnesses.
Framing of charges against Major General Stephen Bwai. The charges were put in legal perspective by the General Court Martial, and these were emanating from the charges filed by the prosecution team that is representing the General Headquarters, the SSPDF, as the National Army. About Saturday, 26th of May 2018, at around 4 p.m., that you move from 5th Infantry Division Headquarters, based in Wau, without proper permission from your command, either in written form, in a form of a message or departure order. Says that he has been charged under Section 69 and Section 63 of the SPLA Act 2009, which is regarding standing orders and desertion, respectively. Charge number 2 says about 29th of May 2018, at about 10:46 a.m., he had made a conversation in Mankian and some associates in Bantu through a telephone. And as a result of that, he was charged under Section 60, 1F, and Section 68C of the SPLA Act 2009. These officers will be summoned to come and appear before the court so that they give evidence as per the request made by the defense team. Second, they also would like some evidence provided to be cross-examined. The evidence that was provided by the prosecution team included audio text, audio evidence, among others. So they have requested for them to be cross-examined. And the court went for a session, and they accepted that these requests presented by the prosecution team are going to be met in accordance with the provisions of the law.
And we believe that through the course of the next few days, if it insists like this, if the court proceeds like this, we'll be forced to pull out. Because if there are issues that the court, from its own opinion, introduces to a trial that was presented by a complainant, and then there are a lot of fears on the same. So I believe from the facts, from the trial, from the proceeding, there's a very big jeopardy on the principles of fair trial. And this is a question that raised our concerns, raised our objections, and our fears further.
And finally, the Miswal South Sudan has embarked on assisting children without parental care in Juba. Florence Sampson said more than 50 street children have joined orphanage centers and appealed to charitable organizations and people of goodwill to support the children, whom she described as future leaders. More on the following story.
Miss World South Sudan Florence Thompson pledged to support destitute children across the country. She said 4 batch of more than 50 children were collected from Gumbo Central Market and now at the orphanage center in Juba.
These kids are here instead of them enjoying the joy of their childhood, the joy of their innocence, but they are handed such a tough start to life, living in a shocking quiet condition without parental support, love or care. My objective is not only just to help these children survive by committing to their needs.
Miss World South Sudan visited a family of a street child at Lologo, south of Juba City, and the mother expressed gratitude for the initiative taken by Miss World.
شوفي انه كان في مساعده جاب جانب ثاني انا ما بقدر برفض رغم انه الناس زي جال عادي بيته من دير ساعده انا بقول انه شكرا ربنا ربكم راسل الناس زي عشان هم بيجا ساعده انا بقول انه كان هم قاموا زي ده جنوب السودان بيكون كمان بيتقدم لقدام لانه في عيال كثير في شوارع في عيال كثير جلفوا منهم هذا من هذا بيبقى مشكله عيال بيبقى جلفوا في شارع عيال بيبقى يقرا في سوق في امور زي ده وهات الغابه عيال ده من قاموا لحاجه ده سويه غلط قوه كان بيبقى ما في سكل ما في لنا زي ده أنا بودي جنة التاريخ سك الفكرة كمان أنا أفكر فوق ده لكن أنا جنة قبل أنا حمد لله أنا بكره شكرا شديد شكرا شديد.
SSBC also conducted box talks with some destitute children who explained reasons that triggered them to desert their homes.
أنا كنت شغال في جنب السوق كده يعني راح على في كونيكولو يا مسؤول جالجانا وشيلانا في السنتر.
Kupitia SSBC News.
That's all we have for you this afternoon. Thank you so much for viewing. I'm Elizabeth Akulda Malat, wishing you a good afternoon. Stay tuned for more programs.
as we put our trust in God, as we put our trust in God. Black is our African identity. White for peaceful existence. Red for our mother sacrifices. Green for the land we dearly love. Black is our African identity. White for peaceful existence. Red for our mother sacrifices. Green for the land we dearly love.
The golden yellow star is our future home. The blue sky is our water and unity in diversity. Fly high among the nations. Fly for peace and freedom.
والغمام غدا أظلت والملا صلوا عليك وأتاك العود يبدي وتزلل بين يديك واستجارت يا حبيبي عندك الظبي النفور طلع البدر علينا من سنيات الوداع وجب الشكر علينا.
الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون هو الذي خلقكم من طين ثم قضى أجلا وأجل مسمى عنده ثم أنتم تمترون وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن وهو بكل شيء عليم وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أيها المسلمون عباد الله، يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أيها المسلمون، في هذه الجمعة المباركة ونحن في وسط شهر شعبان واليوم بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى ونحن في بيت من بيوت الله سبحانه وتعالى ومقبلون إلى شهر رحمات شهر رمضان، فيكون اليوم بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى في آداب المسجد، آداب بيت الله سبحانه وتعالى. وذلك أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لما هاجر من مكة إلى المدينة وصل إلى المدينة، أول ما اختار المسجد، ما بنى قصر للجمهورية ولا بنى مكاتب ولا بيوت، بدأ بالمسجد. ولهذه المساجد في الأرض آداب، لأن الله سبحانه وتعالى جعل المساجد في الإسلام بيوت من بيوته في الأرض. وجعل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم المسجد بالمأوى للمسلمين. ثم شرع الله سبحانه وتعالى الصلوات في اليوم والليلة 5 صلوات كل 3 ساعات أنت بتجي المسجد. ثم فرض الله سبحانه وتعالى الصلوات الجماعية ووضع له فضائل. ثم جعل الله سبحانه وتعالى في كل 7 يوم أن تجي يصلي في المسجد صلاة الجمعة. ثم تواصل العبادات. للمساجد أحكام وآداب، والجمعة واحد ما تكفي عن فضائل وآداب المسجد، عشان كده ناخذ قليل من آداب المسجد اليوم بإذن الله سبحانه وتعالى. من آداب المسجد أن نعرف المسجد لماذا شرع الله سبحانه وتعالى المساجد. الله سبحانه وتعالى يقول في كتابه العزيز في سورة النور: في بيوت أذن الله أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه يسبح له فيها بالغدو والآصال رجال لا تلهيهم تجارة ولا بيع عن ذكر الله وإقام الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة يخافون يوما تتقلب فيه القلوب والأبصار. ده الهدف الأول من المساجد عبادة الله سبحانه وتعالى، ذكر الله سبحانه وتعالى، التكاتف بين الناس، الوحدة بين المسلمين، التعاون بين المسلمين، الطمأنينة والأمن. المساجد في الأرض دي الأماكن في طمأنينة. أي مكان أنت ماشي فيه لو ماشي أي رئاسة في دولة لو ماشي أي وزارة أنت محتاج ترتيبات أمنية، لكن في المسجد ما فيه حاجات كده. ما محتاج لك سكين ولا محتاج لك سلاح ولا محتاج لك حرس ولا محتاج لك ما دار حاجة. ده بيت الله سبحانه وتعالى. كل الناس الموجودين فيه عباد الله سبحانه وتعالى الطمأنينة في المسجد. ما في إجراءات السلامة، لكن الإيمان يمنع الجرائم. عشان كده الله سبحانه وتعالى قال في يودل ده الله سبحانه وتعالى نزل في يودل عشان يذكر فيها الله سبحانه وتعالى. ده هدف الأول. تجد المسجد تعرف بأنه ده مكان العبادة، ما في أي حاجة فيه، ما في سياسة، ما في نميمة، ما في غيبة، ما في سرقة، ما في وظائف، ما في حاجة. ده بيت الله فقط. ده الهدف الأول. الهدف الثاني إظهار الإيمان في المساجد. الدور المؤمن محل ما مسجد، خلي يشوفوا حاجات ثانية. الله سبحانه وتعالى يقول: إنما يأمر مساجد الله من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة ولم يخشى إلا الله فعسى أولئك أن يكونوا من المهتدين. المساجد ده مكان إظهار الإيمان، ما في وظائف ولا في جروب يأخذوا منه ولا في أي حاجة. ده محل إدارة الإيمان وإمارة المساجد بالعبادة أو بالدعم أو بحماية أو بذكر الله سبحانه وتعالى في ده كله عمارة المساجد. إذن الهدف الثاني من آداب المساجد أن يظهر الإنسان إيمانه في المساجد، وأن يكون الإنسان في حماية المسجد، ما تساهم في خراب المساجد، ما تساهم في النميمة والغيبة والمشاكل والفتن. الإنسان ما يعمل فتن في المساجد. هذا يعمل فتن خليه يمشي يشوف القبائل وين، خليه يشوف المحلات الفتن وين. المسجد إيمان لله سبحانه وتعالى، إدارة إيمان، عبادة، صلاة، ذكر الله، تلاوة القرآن، دي أول حاجة الموجود في المسجد، ما في أي حاجة. ده الأدب الثاني. الأدب الثالث التجمع في المسجد. والرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم في حديث الإمام مسلم يقول: ما اجتمع قوم في بيت من بيوت الله. ده معناه اجتمعوا الآن. ما اجتمع قوم في بيت من بيوت الله يتلون كتاب الله ويتدارسونه فيما بينهم الجوائز مباشرة من الله سبحانه وتعالى. يقول الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم: إذا اجتمع الناس في بيت من بيوتنا مسجد ويتلون كتاب الله سبحانه وتعالى فيه ذكر الله سبحانه وتعالى وكل العبادات إلا نزلت عليهم السكينة من الله سبحانه وتعالى وغشتهم الرحمة من الله سبحانه وتعالى وحافتهم الملائكة وذكرهم الله سبحانه وتعالى في من عنده. دي آداب المساجد. تجي هنا تتعلم كتاب الله سبحانه وتعالى، تذكر الله سبحانه وتعالى، تصلي لله سبحانه وتعالى، تصلي لله سبحانه وتعالى، تقف الجلوس فقط في المسجد يعتبر رباط في سبيل الله وذاك في المسجد. وانتظار الصلاة إلى الصلاة ده جزاء الجنة. فالمساجد الله سبحانه وتعالى جاب كان هنا نكسب فيها الحسنات. الأدب الرابع عدم اعتداء المساجد ولا للمصلين فيه سواء كان بالكلام أو بأي إجراء. الله سبحانه وتعالى وصف من يمنع المساجد من المصلين يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى ومن أظلم ممن منع مساجد الله أن يذكر فيها اسمه وسعى في خرابها أولئك ما كان لهم أن يدخلوها إلا خائفين. ده الله سبحانه وتعالى نزل الآية دي في قريش لما منعوا بيت الحرام. فالله سبحانه وتعالى وصفهم بأنهم أظلم الناس في الأرض لأنهم منعوا المؤمنين من الصلاة في المساجد وكل من منع المصلين في المساجد فهو أظلم الناس وحسابه عند الله سبحانه وتعالى يوم القيامة من أشد العقوبات لأنه منع الناس من عبادة الله سبحانه وتعالى. فللمساجد آداب وأحكام. لذلك اليوم الوسيطة التي أخذنا دي نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يجعلني وإياكم ممن يستمعون القول ويتبعون أحسنه. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور علينا من سنيات الوداع.
ما رأينا العيس محمد بسرى إلا إليك إلا الله لا إله إلا الله والغمام غدا أظلت والملا صلوا عليك وأتاك العود يبكي وتزلل بين يديك واستجارت يا حبيبي عندك الظبي النفور طلع البدر علينا من سنيات الوداع وجب الشكور علينا.
Sona tili lingita tili jingkang ko taling ko pitene ko nyarjo.
Number one on the beat, number one on the beat.
Ngolo nyolo gala 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 gala. Ngolo nyolo gala 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 gala. Ede banala mulo nye 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 nelo gala. Ah ah ah. Ngolo nyolo gala 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 gala. Ngolo nyolo gala 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 gala. bonanye na nyonani Kerena bonanye na nyonani Jubani Jubani nyonani Kerena kenanye na nyonani Kerena kenanye na nyonani Jubani Jubani nyonani yeah. Yola 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 isekolo yola yola isekolo yola yeah. Yola 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 isekolo yola yola isekolo yola yeah Kunyarju karo 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 linka telili kanga loke 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 telili ngaji jinguna loke igbe ya kata kunyarju karo 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 linka telili kanga loke 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 telili ngaji jinguna loke Nyarjuka usana ngunyenye nagala Parara Nyarjuka usana ngunyenye nagala Parara Nyarjuka usana ngunyenye nagala
Hello and welcome to Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Adingor. Fixing South Sudan, your ideas for building the new nation. I am Madingor, and with us for the show is Commissioner of Duk Payuel, Jonglei State. He is here on the show for the first time to speak about his constituency, what is going on. He's a man who has been embedded with the people, knows the challenges of the people and the opportunity that exists in his area. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you.
We are happy to welcome you to the show. We would like to know what is the situation in your constituency, what are the issues, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities that you are facing?
Thank you, Madingor, for the time. Following the creation of 32 states, 2016, that was when I was appointed as a commissioner of Duk Payuel. So Duk was one constituency all along. Since the country came, country get independent, and later on, it was divided up into 4 counties. That is Duk Payuel, Duk Padiet, Duk Panyang, and Duk Pagak. So I'm sitting in Duk Payuel. I went home in the midst of the crisis, because we know the ongoing war is started in 2013, and I was taken there in 2016. I got only 2 villages in Duk Payuel that were inhabited by very few people. Some of them were displaced people who came from the areas of Patuet, Panyang, Pajut, and some of the residents were returnees who returned back from Bor town, from Panyango, back to the area. Duk Payuel was one of the area that were privileged, because we have quite a number of people who are educated. We have quite a number of young men who are in abroad. They tried their best to bring the home village up. So we were having, before then we were having hospital, JDF, which was well known in the whole area. We were having some good school, Bell was in Duk Payuel. But by the time I arrived there, I got everything obliterated by the current conflict. The hospital itself.
The ending conflict.
Yes, the ending conflict. Thank you. Hospital was